All right. Shalom Yasharallah. Before we get started, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that teach and rule well. Give me 1 second. All right. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Back another video, another lesson. And the title, this one's going to be called A Time Unlike Any Other. All right, well, I may switch the title around to something different, but a time unlike any other. And that time unlike any other is speaking of Jacob's trouble. All right, the great tribulation which is about to come upon this world that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is about to bring upon the people. All right, and we're in that time. You know, you see the things that's happening in the news. You know, wars and civil unrests. You know, pestilence, plagues, different things. You got Trump, sending troops to different cities to crack down on crime, which we'll get into. All right. We about to see, things heat up pretty real soon. Lord willing, going into next year. All right. Because these things need to happen for us to live in a better situation. Because what we're living in now is not, this isn't this matter of fact, let's get it real. Let's get a quick one. And we're gonna get into that. This is Micah 2:10, right? It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you even with a sore destruction." So this place here in America, Babylon the Great, this place is polluted, man. This place has destroyed our people mentally, spiritually, even physically. This place is not our rest. Our rest, really is in the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and our rest is going to be when we get in the kingdom, which is going to happen, the kingdom of heaven, and we're going to rule on the earth as kings and priests. All right, governors, rulers, and the earth is going to be in a better situation when the Israelites get back into power. All right, look, this word polluted. Also, this word depart. Let's see what it means. Yalak. All right, yalak. It says to go, walk, come, depart, proceed, move, go away. It says to die, live, manner of life figuratively. All right, so depart from this world, man. Depart from, and it's spiritual. Depart from Babylon the Great spiritually, man. Depart from the ways of this place. All right, the holidays, birthdays, the ways of this world, the things that's normalized, which is totally wickedness. Because who are the rulers of this world? Esau, Edom, and what do they normalize? Wickedness. The women are our women are out of order. The men are too. Jake just doing anything out here because they are following the ways of the wicked. It says to walk literally or figuratively, to carry. All right. So it's speaking, but it's speaking in a spiritual sense. We got to depart from this place spiritually, and we will depart physically when the Lord Yahweh Shai returns with the angels, with those chariots. All right, but let's get this real quick. I got two of them. Let's get one from End Time Headlines. Trump signs executive order establishing specialized National Guard units to address crime in cities. All right. It says President Donald Trump signed an executive order Monday tasking his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, with establishing specialized units in the National Guard that will be specifically trained and equipped to deal with public order issues. The clearest sign, yet he intends to expand the U.S. military's role in domestic law enforcement activities across the country. Under the newly signed order, Hegseth is charged with ensuring that each state's Army National Guard and Air National Guard are resourced, trained, organized, and available to assist federal, state, and local law enforcement in quelling civil disturbances and ensuring the public safety and order whenever the circumstances necessitate as appropriate under law. A primary mission of the National Guard is already to be trained and available to assist law enforcement with public safety, often at the request of their state's governor. It also orders HEGSEP to designate an appropriate number of each state's trained National Guard members to be reasonably available for rapid mobilization for such purposes, and establishing a standing quick reaction force that shall be available for rapid nationwide deployment. Questions remain, however, about how the order will work in practice. The National Guard already has reaction forces designed to rapidly respond to incidents requiring law enforcement or security support in each state, territory, and the District of Columbia. These forces primarily perform their mission under the command and control of governors, and Trump's executive order on Monday does not specify what authority the units outside of D.C. would report to if a state's governor does not wish to use them. It seems very performative. Rachel Van Langdenham, a former Air Force judge, advocate, and current law professor at Southwestern Law School, told CNN on Monday. But again, the devil is in the details of how they plan on using them, she added. I'll read a little bit more. It says, the executive order heightens existing concerns that the Trump administration is seeking to use the National Guard and federal law enforcement agencies for political purposes, particularly as the president appears to exclusively be considering deployments to cities run by Democrats in blue states. And you can, read the rest on your own. It's not that much left anyway, but this is what's coming. This is what he's doing. This is the cruel Lord speaking of in Isaiah the 19th chapter, right? It's Isaiah 19 and 4 says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. All right, and that cruel Lord is speaking of Trump. Now, this Isaiah 19th chapter is speaking to Egypt, but what Egypt is it speaking to? It's speaking about spiritual Egypt, which is America. How we know that? Let's get Revelation 11:8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. All right, and if you cross-reference this, it takes you back to Ezekiel the 37th chapter, speaking of the dead bones. All right, the valley of dry. I said dead bones. The valley of dry bones, which is speaking of the Israelites, the house of Judah and the house of Israel. All right, which is here in America. All right. So that cruel Lord is speaking of Trump, and he may usher in, martial law. Well, we believe he will. He'll usher in martial law, the chip, and World War III. We believe the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is gonna put the spirit on him, to kick this thing off, man. All right. Let's get some scriptures. Let's get Jeremiah 30:7, which we all, these are basics, but these are what's coming. This is what's coming, and it's good to go into it, to prepare ourselves and prepare you brothers and you sisters out there of the elect. Lord willing, we have that number as well, to prepare y'all, for what's to come, and have faith in the Lord, man, because the times the times are coming where we're gonna need extreme, very, very extreme faith, because we won't be able to, especially us in this truth. They're gonna come down on us. They're gonna try to do different things to shake our faith. They may come after your family. They may come after your brothers, sisters, siblings, your wife, kids. They may do things. They may even send. They may get money, try to give you some money to throw away the truth, or to distort. To preach a false doctrine. So we got to prepare ourselves for these things to come, because the devil know who we are. But it's Jeremiah 30:5. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, which is his name, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Look this word paleness up. All right. It says mildew, paleness, lividness, Mildew, rust, paleness, the strong definition. It says whether a person's from what? From fright. So it's word fright up. And it means what? A sudden intense feeling of fear. So the people are going to be, the house of Israel, Jake, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans are going to have an intense feeling of fear when that time comes. Especially those who, of course, those who don't know, but those who do know, those who are playing around, not teaching the true name, not teaching the right doctrine, you straddling the fence. The Lord, it's gonna be it's gonna have a sudden intense feeling of fear when that time comes. It says an experience that causes one to feel sudden intense fear, man. So that paleness is from a feeling of fear from that fright, the things that's happening in the earth. Verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. It says Jacob's trouble. Who was Jacob? Jacob was a forefather of the Israelites. And who do we descend from? We descend from those men. We descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are our forefathers. All right? His name was changed to Israel, or in the Hebrew, Yashar Allah. He is a prince of the power. Okay? It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And who's the he? The he are the elect. All right? The men, women, and children who the Lord has chosen to protect. And we praying and hoping the Lord keeps us protected. And hey, Lord willing, even our families. Right? Let's get another one. Let's get Daniel 12:1. It says, and this says the time of the end. Are we not in the end times? Right? We're at the end of this man's age, of this man's world. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. Right? Who are the children of the people? It's the Israelites. All right, the thing's gonna be so bad that Michael the archangel is gonna intervene, and the angels. We believe that I believe, well, of course we believe here at Great Millstone, we believe that the angels are gonna be dealing with certain brothers, certain men, to guide them, to guide them through the times of trouble, man. They may be shielding you. You may be in a situation where you cornered, and you think you have no way out. You get hunt down by Esau and his left-handed his army, or those AI, those robots, those drones, and the angel may come and they may be right in your face. These the military, they may be right in your face, but they walking right past you. That's an angel shielding you, man, making you invisible. Those are the times, and that's the time. Hey, that's why I say you need extreme, because that's going to happen. I believe that's going to happen. Certain brothers going to be seeing that. Certain brothers going to be healing. Certain brothers going to be, having, bro. I'm telling you, man. It's like, I can't say you gotta see it to believe it, because you gotta believe it already. Like, that's going to happen. Like, I believe that's really going to happen to certain brothers, certain men. Like, the angel's going to be protecting certain, the elect, man. Period. But it says, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. And that's the book of life. And that's the elect, really. It's gonna be like a time, it says, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. It's gonna be so terrible. It's gonna be worse than 70 AD. It's gonna be worse than the transatlantic slave trade. It's gonna be worse than the different captivities we've been in. It's gonna be worse than a mass shooting or 911 or a terror attack. This time that's coming to be worse than any of that, man. We're gonna be seeing dead bodies in the streets. People gonna be dying of starvation. It's about to get crazy out here, man. That's why we gotta get right spiritually and mentally. This starts with myself. Starts with myself. Gotta get right spiritually and mentally, man. Preparing yourself. But let's get another article. All right, we good. Let's get another article. This is from NBC. Now this says Trump threatens to send the military to Baltimore. to clean up crime. All right, this is where, this is where I'm at. Baltimore, Maryland. I already say something different. Here they say Baltimore Murderland. Because the crime here is crazy. And I be seeing it. But the water Yahweh Shemi Al Shai for keeping me out the way. Because, man, I tell you, I'm pretty sure it's like this in any other city. New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Austin, Texas, Florida. I'm pretty sure it's like that wherever brothers are at. Atlanta. But it says President Donald Trump on Sunday threatened to send the military into Baltimore, or Baltimore, but as we say, to quickly clean up crime. But if Westmore needs help, like Gavin Newsom said, Gavin Newsom did in L.A., I will send in the troops, which is being done in nearby D.C., which you hear about, and quickly clean up the crime. Trump said in a post on Truth Social, referring to the Democratic governors of Maryland and California and using a derogatory nickname for Gavin Newsom. Trump's comments are the latest in the headline of threats to replicate the D.C. deployment in cities across the country after hundreds of National Guard troops were brought to D.C. in what he's described as an effort to fight crime through critics have painted the move as an overreach for political purposes. And they believe that he want to federalize D.C. It says, reach for comment. Moore said in a statement that Trump would rather attack his country's largest cities from behind a desk than walk the streets with the people he represents. Why would he do that? Why would he walk the street knowing that he has people are against this man? He says he wants to walk the streets. Salakia, the president should join us in Baltimore because the blissful ignorance tropes and the 1980s scare tactics benefit no one. Moore continued, we need leaders who are there helping the people who are actually on the ground doing the work. And he's not doing nothing. We don't see him out here walking the streets. Well, I don't see him out here walking the streets in the communities, helping, people out. If he is, he's in the white communities, if you hear in Baltimore, Canton and, different stuff, Federal Hill. He's down there. He ain't in the hood. He ain't in Cherry Hill. He not in Brooklyn. He not down, over in East Baltimore or West Baltimore. He not over in Sandtown, Park Heights, Bel Air Road, in the hood where Jake really is. But, why would he go there? Jake destroying themselves. Trump's push to deploy National Guard troops to cities like D.C. is a significant departure from how presidents typically deploy the Guard, which is usually used to respond to situations like natural disasters and civil unrest, which is about to come. Civil unrest, riots, people fighting against one another. That's what we're about to see in the coming days, man. You can read the rest of this on your own. I'll put the link in the description. Lord willing, I remember. I want to get these scriptures. I want to get Matthew 24 and 23. So this is the times that we're in, right? And it says 21, Salaki. It says, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no nor ever shall be, And it's a little tribulation. What does tribulation mean? All right, the ellipsis is the Greek word, pressing together, pressure, metaphor, oppression. And who's being oppressed? Jake, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans. Affliction, tribulation, distress, straits. Down here it says persecution, trouble, tribulation. So we're going to go through tribulation. We're going to go through persecution. Best believe you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, you believe in this truth, you're going to be persecuted. You're going to be put in a FEMA camp, a detention center, wherever. They got us. It's one in Florida called what's it called? Gator Island, something like that. Let's see if we can look it up. No thanks. Gator. Is it Gator Island or something like that? Alligator Alcatraz, the South Florida detention facility. Commonly referred as Alligator Alcatraz, is an immigration detention facility located at the Dade College Training and Transition Airport inside Big Cypress National Preserve in Ocracoke, Florida, United States. You see? So, They got this stuff prepared already for Jake, for the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, because they're about to come down with that great wrath, man. Then Esau's not playing anymore, because they know that time is short. Matter of fact, let's get Ezekiel 21 and 28. Let's get that. Man, there's so many scriptures coming to mind. Let's read this. It says, again, the word of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus said the Lord, say a sword. A sword is sharpened and also furbished, and a sword is an instrument of destruction. All right, and Esau is going to be used to bring that sword. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? You got a lot of Israelites out here who are, there's nothing wrong with being in a good mood, in a joyful spirit, but keep that off camera, man. Do that on your own time. We're in a time of preparing ourselves, getting ourselves prepared spiritually for the return of our Lord, man. And going through the trials and tribulations that we're about to go through. You having Passover, you taking the Lord's holy days and making them, parties. The Passover, different feasts, just throwing a big party, man. When it's a solemn assembly, having Hebrew Israelite marriages. That'll happen in the kingdom. It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he have given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer, and that slayer is going to be Esau, man. He's about to come down and slay Jake. And I ain't gonna lie, some of you niggas need to be put to death. 2/3 need to die. You see the shit out, and excuse my language, but you see the shit out here in the streets. Jake is just wild, man. These young cats, these these young ninjas, these YNs, causing trouble. Niggas just on the block, standing in front of a store, selling your drugs. Go get just get a job. Well, I can't really speak on that, but you're not supposed to be, just doing wickedness, man. Killing each other, shooting each other down. But when Esau come in the neighborhood, it's they don't do nothing to him. Or when the Arabs come in the neighborhood, they don't do nothing to them. Or Moab, or Ammon, or Ham. Well, they do something to Ham a little bit, but when Esau or another nation comes in, they don't do nothing to them. But when one of your own comes, it's a problem. That's why you niggas need to go. That's why the Lord's gonna destroy 2/3, man. Right? And let's get this second Esdras, if we can. Second Esdras 16 and 17, it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? This is the prophet Ezra. He's seeing what he's seeing, the things happening in the end times. It's at the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. Woo, famine. We speak at camp. When that famine come, boy, a lot of people gonna be starving out here. God damn, those lights. Slucky. It says the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And these evils gonna just continue to gonna get worse and worse. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And speaking of the Lord's people. Behold, victuals, which is food, shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, the evils shall grow upon earth. Sword, famine, and great confusion, man. And great confusion is coming. People are not going to be knowing what to do out here. But the elect, the Lord's chosen, they're going to know through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, man. We're about to, and it's about, hey, the Lord's going to work. Lord willing, Baba Kwasha. He keeps us protected, man. He keeps us safe. Because we need to get through this, man. Like I said, this being here in America, we're not here to be happy. You got to learn that as you come into the truth. You're not here to now you here to, we're here to serve. We're in captivity, man. We're prisoners of war. you know. But we ready to get up out of here. We ready to be in a better situation, the best situation ever, you know, under our Lord Yahweh Shai, King David, you know, and the rest of the men, you know, 144,000 and the 1/3, man. We ready to get up out of here, you know, and live righteously, you know. But a time like any other is coming, man. The time of Jacob's trouble is here, you know. So get yourself right. Gotta get ourselves right, myself included, in the spirit. Prepare yourselves mentally, you know. Do whatever to, you know, cut off distractions, you know, and let's get right with the Lord while we still can, because the grace of the doors of mercy and grace are still open, but they're shutting, man. They're shutting. So repent if you need to. You know, pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, sincerity and truth, and get back on the right path, man. You know. So Lord willing, this was edifying. We give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone that teach and rule well. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect. Lord, you was edified. Lord will be back with another one. Till then, I'm going to say, Shalom.